Hello, it's Bacon Area 650 back here with some footage at Bing Field. The mission this time is to try to take over several structures. As I'm not that familiar with this field, I really didn't know where to go, so I just kind of went with the general rush on more of the south side of the field. I eventually make my way to a small building, which unfortunately didn't provide the best amount of cover. You can see that big window to the left, which later became a problem. Now this time I did have the wind to my back for the most part, but you'll eventually see that it does shift to a crosswind, which later does affect my shots. One complaint I have about the Bing BBs, while they're of good quality, the heavier weight BBs are very dark, which makes them near impossible to actually kind of follow your shots or really get a good sense of how far they're going or how much they're dropping. So that was another challenge I had to deal with besides the wind. And they're kind of a lavender purple color, which is kind of an odd color for a BB. As you can see, some people were trying to throw smokes, and because of the wind, smoke grenades are pretty much useless today. Eventually I got taken out, and I made a reattempt to the field, but this time to the far south side of the field, since that was an area I hadn't been before. So me and this random player, we're going to make our way to the south side of the field. Here I'm going to take a bit of an advantage to a bit of a lull. I'm going to just set up my ACR here, and I'm going to actually try to see how far of a range I have today. But again, those kind of dark BBs, they're just really hard to follow. Now the field that we're moving to does look very open, but there's these concrete foundations which actually make for not great, but decent enough amount of cover. Now as you can see that ridge line, there was a bit of confusion of where our boundaries kind of stopped and end. So it turns out that we can kind of go up the hill over there on that ridge there, but we're not supposed to go over it or at the very top. Unfortunately, both the other team and our team had people who went over there and eventually were out of bounds. Unfortunately, this area of the field was pretty much kind of the classic World War I
on the ridge now with you.
kind of trenches where everyone was just kind of taking shots at each other. One or two people would get out, but nothing too much. Not a lot of action here. Had it not been for the wind, I probably could have gotten a few more kills here, but it's just the wind in its nature, especially being gusty like this, where the wind is inconsistent, makes it hard to adjust for your shots. Eventually, we kind of took out the other team and re-met up with Derek over here, and we decided to just kind of clear out the area, make sure there's no more stragglers before we kind of push off to try to outflank the enemy. As we moved through the field, it turns out that our teammates had actually pushed out a lot further.
So we're moving up.
Once we kind of clarify, and this is kind of the tricky part where everyone's just kind of wearing their own colors or civilian clothing. It's hard to tell whose team you're on.
Yeah, that's the sound it makes when it goes down.
And then we move over here.
Watch out, big fall here.
There. So, it was a little deeper than I thought. Of course, having a bad knee kind of always makes those types of drops a little more interesting. As you know, most of the magazines I have that I use with the ACR, I do have to modify them a little bit for the magazine catch to fully engage. So sometimes they do get stuck. So here we are. We're just trying to move around. I'm going to go over here to this bunker. Unfortunately, at this time, my battery died. I got to get a few extra shots here. You can start to hear the rate of fire start to drop. And that's just kind of the disadvantage of using smaller batteries. So I whip out here my pistol. Either the wind was affecting my shots and that guy just casually walking there, or he just wasn't calling his hits.
Game's over.
So that's it. That's the game. Had a little more better view of the field here. Definitely looks really cool with all the concrete structures. Kind of hope they start to develop that southern side of the field. It's pretty open, so they can do some pretty imaginative things with it. And this is Bacon Air 650.